You know, it's kind of funny when you think about it. Nothing truly, well, just happens.
Right.
That amazing bridge you drive over, or I don't know, your favorite app, even the coffee you grabbed this morning.
Mhm.
Everything useful. It starts as just a tiny glimmer, an idea, and then somehow, through a whole lot of effort, it becomes real.
It's definitely not magic, is it? It's process.
Yeah.
And today we're taking a deep dive into the very heart of that process, the project life cycle.
Yeah, the life cycle.
Our mission really is to break down how projects actually move from that initial concept, that glimmer, to completion.
Yeah.
And often it feels less like following a rigid blueprint and more like guiding a living thing.
A living thing, I like that. So we're going to unpack the 5 formal phases. These are the ones the Project Management Institute, PMI, recognizes.
That's right. Initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and controlling, and finally, closing.
And the goal isn't just to list them. We want to help you understand what really happens in each stage and, crucially, why these phases are so essential.
Exactly. And to make it stick, we've got this fascinating real-world example we'll follow along the way, the story of building a major copper mine.
Oh, cool. That sounds complex.
It is. But the core idea we want you to take away is this. Real life, project life, it's rarely a perfect straight line. You'll loop back, you'll adapt, you'll definitely pivot.
Always happen.
Always. But these phases, they give the project its spine. They provide that essential structure.
A framework, maybe.
Yeah, a framework that lets the team decide, okay, what needs our focus right now versus what can wait a bit. All to make sure that the ultimate objective actually gets met and isn't just, wishful thinking.
Okay, so let's dig into that why. Why bother with phases at all? I mean, projects don't just land fully formed, right? They start, maybe they wobble a bit at first.
They definitely wobble.
Then they gather speed, and eventually, hopefully, they stop having delivered something useful. So what's the real strategic edge in formalizing these stages?
That's a really good question because it gets right to the core of managing projects. Look, the project manager, the whole team, they share one fundamental aim: deliver what was promised.
Right.
These phases, they're simply a structured way to wrestle with all the chaos and complexity that comes with any big undertaking.
So breaking it down.
Exactly. Breaking it into manageable chunks, giving you clear decision points along the way. And while, like we said, it's not perfectly linear, you will loop back to replan, sometimes, many times.
Mm-hmm.
These phases provide that crucial structure, that spine we mentioned, to keep things grounded. Without them, honestly, you'd just be adrift. It would be chaos.
Okay, makes sense. Let's jump into phase 1 then, initiation. This is where you decide if this whole thing should even exist, right? The starting gun.
That's it. It kicks off with a need. Either you're fixing a problem or you're chasing some kind of opportunity. It's all about getting the green light, the permission, and crucially, the direction.
But is the biggest hurdle just getting the approval? Or is there more to it?
Oh, it's definitely deeper than just getting an okay.
Yeah.
In initiation, you're really trying to pin down the objective. What does success actually mean for this project?
Which can be surprisingly tricky.
It really can. Stakeholders often have very different ideas about that. So you draft a business case, maybe outline a few credible ways you could tackle it.
Options.
Right. And the real challenge isn't just, can we do it? It's really rigorously asking, should we do it? Considering hidden costs, long-term impacts, what else you could be doing with those resources.
Opportunity cost.
Exactly. Frankly, a lot of projects fail simply because they were the wrong projects to start in the first place. So you identify the main deliverables, the key stakeholders, pull together that early team, and importantly, a project manager gets appointed, and you get that formal thumbs up, the authorization to proceed.
Got it. So you walk out of initiation with like a recommended path forward and the official mandate to actually plan it properly, like getting the green light and a rough map.
Precisely.
Now, in our copper mine example, this was a U.S. construction firm, right? They won a design-build contract for Argentina's first copper mine. And the infrastructure there was, well, sparse.
Incredibly sparse, which made that initiation phase even more critical.
So how did they handle that?
Well, what's really interesting is how the project manager tackled that complexity head-on. During initiation, their absolute first priority was assembling a leadership team that had deep experience with large, remote projects like this.
Makes sense. Experience counts.
Hugely. And strategically, they set up 3 offices right away. 1 in Chile to leverage the mature mining infrastructure already there, and 2 in Argentina, One in Buenos Aires for building relationships, navigating regulations, the political side, and another in Catamarca, which was the near-site hub.
Wow. Okay.
So those early efforts were intensely focused on just establishing workable procedures, getting the necessary permits, and building really strong partnerships with organizations in both Chile and Argentina, laying all that groundwork.
Okay, that foundation sounds crucial. So once you've got that mandate, you've done the groundwork, we move into phase 2, planning.
Right.
This is where the big ideas start turning into an actual workable map, a blueprint people can follow. What's the biggest, maybe, misconception people have about planning? Is it about trying to predict everything perfectly?
That's exactly it. The biggest misconception is that planning is about perfect prediction. It's absolutely not.
No.
No. It's really about building resilience, building adaptability into your approach. This is where you clarify the scope, nail it down, and then you decompose the work.
Break it down again.
Yeah, sometimes using a formal work breakdown structure, or WBS, that helps prevent scope creep later, making sure every piece of work is actually accounted for. Then you build a detailed schedule of activities, who depends on what? Realistic timeframes. You estimate your resources, your costs, roll it all up into a project budget.
And risks. Oh, absolutely crucial. Risk management. You name the big threats, the scary stuff, and you decide how you're going to deal with them. Maybe you try to reduce the chance it happens or reduce the impact if it does. Or maybe you just accept it, but with your eyes wide open.
Okay.
Some teams even do pre-mortems. They imagine how the project could spectacularly fail and then plan specifically to prevent those scenarios.
Like a worst-case scenario drill.
Sort of, yeah. You also map out your stakeholders, who needs to know what, how often, what format do they prefer. And you define your quality targets, your acceptance criteria, so that when you get near the end, done isn't some big debate.
Right. You know what good enough or finished actually looks like.
Exactly.
So once the scope, schedule, and cost kind of mesh together, you get what's called a baseline. And yeah, a Gantt chart can help visualize it, but like our sources say, it's not a magic spell.
Definitely not magic. It's a tool, a useful one, but just a tool.
So back to the copper mine. What did planning look like for them, given the, scale and the fact it was a first for the country? It was a massive coordination effort. The team produced this incredibly integrated schedule, linking design, procurement, and construction activities across all 3 of those offices.
Wow.
Project controls built a super detailed budget to track every dollar, basically, against what was expected. Designers took the initial concepts and turned them into construction-ready drawing packages.
Okay.
And then procurement took those drawings and turned them into purchase orders, figured out labor needs, refined the actual construction sequence. They even started some site setup work in parallel.
Really? While still planning?
Yeah, which sounds a bit risky, maybe, but it actually showed they had enough detail, enough confidence in their plan to start taking coordinated action on the ground.
Okay, that's commitment. Right. That leads us nicely into phase 3, execution, or sometimes called implementation.
Execution.
This sounds like where the rubber hits the road, the real grind and the craft, as our notes say. Is this where most projects hit their biggest problems, or are those problems usually just symptoms of bad planning?
That's a really sharp question. Because while execution is absolutely the grind and the craft, a lot of the challenges you face here, they are often symptoms of what didn't quite happen right in planning, or maybe even way back in initiation.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, in this phase, the work packages get done, materials arrive, people get hired and trained, the actual thing gets built or created, and importantly, verified. Checked. And change. It will happen. Constantly. The team has to adapt. Progress isn't just about being busy. It's about completed and, crucially, accepted work.
Accepted work.
Simple concept, right? But often much, much harder to achieve in the real world, especially when unexpected things pop up.
I can only imagine. So what did that grind and the craft actually look like for the copper mine? Did they hit specific roadblocks during that intense construction?
Oh, absolutely. This was the main construction period, boots on the ground, equipment, materials arriving, crews being hired, trained, the whole mine complex getting built.
Right, everything happening at once.
Pretty much. From the very first bulldozer push, to installing the last light switch, the team was delivering work package after work package. And yeah, they hit snags. One specific example was an unexpected delay in a really key material delivery. Some local transportation strike messed things up.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And that forced an immediate pivot in their construction sequence. The site team had to scramble, basically reprioritize other tasks they could do with the materials they had on hand just to minimize the downtime.
Quick thinking needed.
Absolutely. It was a classic example of adapting to, well, all the usual turbulence, as they say, that you'd expect on a massive project like that.
Which flows right into phase 4, monitoring and controlling. This is the quiet discipline, apparently, running alongside execution, keeping the ship steered correctly.
That's a good way to put it, the quiet discipline.
So if execution is the doing, what's the main goal here? Is it just about catching mistakes after they happen?
No, it's much more proactive than that. The core goal isn't rigid compliance. It's informed steering.
Informed steering.
You're constantly tracking your actual progress against the plan. Across scope, schedule, cost, the whole triangle. It's also where you manage changes, formally, through a defined process. Because, like the sources warn, unauthorized scope creep looks small until it isn't.
Death by 1,000 cuts.
Exactly. It adds up fast. So you're watching quality, you're keeping an eye on those risks you identified, monitoring issues, and you act quickly when things start to drift off course, when thresholds get crossed.
And communication.
Hugely important here. Communicating honestly. That phrase, a green dashboard that hides a red reality, helps no one. It's so true. This phase is about realigning when the facts on the ground change, making sure the project adjusts its course based on what's actually happening, not just wishful thinking.
Yeah, reality checks. Okay, that makes perfect sense. And that brings us finally to phase 5, closing.
Closing tab.
This sounds like it should be more than just, sending a final email and packing up. It's about formally wrapping things up and, interestingly, capturing value from the whole journey. Why is it so important not to just sort of fade out? Why the formal close?
Because if you just fade out,
Yeah.
all that incredibly valuable, hard-won knowledge, it just evaporates. It's lost. So the key activities here include formally transferring all the deliverable, the documentation, everything over to the operations team, getting that formal sign-off, the acceptance from your customer or sponsor.
The official handover.
Exactly. Then you methodically close out all the contracts, release people, release equipment, reconcile all the financial books. But the most crucial part, arguably, capturing lessons learned.
Right. What went well, what didn't.
What worked, what blew up in your face, what should we definitely do again next time, what should we avoid like the plague, and then sharing those lessons.
So others can learn.
Precisely. It's profound, really. Projects end. The learning shouldn't. This phase ensures you carry that intelligence forward, making the whole organization smarter with every project it completes.
That's powerful. So for our copper mine, how did closing play out? It must have been a big process, too.
Meticulous. Just like the other phases, the finished plant was formally handed over to the client's operations team, a huge undertaking in itself, coordinating that transfer.
I bet.
They used a punch list to track and complete any lingering small tasks or fixes, the stragglers. The Catamarca site office closed down. The Buenos Aires office carefully archived all the project records, mountains of them probably.
Wow.
And the Chile office, it just smoothly pivoted to its next assignment. All the accounts were reconciled, final reports issued. And the project manager, well, naturally they rolled on to the next big project, signifying a really clean enough close, everything wrapped up properly.
Clean finish.
Yeah. So, as you can hopefully see, getting your head around these 5 phases, initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and controlling, and closing it, really gives you a solid framework, a way to approach almost any complex undertaking.
Whether it's building a giant copper mine or, tackling a big personal goal.
Exactly. It provides that essential structure, that clarity we've been talking about.
That's right. And while that careful planning is obviously vital, it really seems like the ability to adapt, to pivot based on what's happening, and to learn throughout the whole cycle, that's what truly leads to success.
It's about being agile, but within that proven structure, you need both.
Yeah, structure and flexibility.
Which leads us right into our final provocative thought for you, the listener. If projects are always evolving, always changing, and if that learning really shouldn't stop when the project formally closes, what's one area in your life, or maybe your work, where applying even just one of these phases, maybe better initiation, or more focused planning, or even just a proper closeout, could transform something that's currently a bit of a wobble into a much more well-steered, successful journey?